theater has long been a part of many college campuses, and here at Northeast State Community College, the theater department is alive and active. With a new production under construction, the Northeast State Theater Troupe is asking what is sane with its 2016 production of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And we'll be right back after this commercial to talk with some of the actors.
I am the fourth generation of my family that's worked in automotive repair. My father always worked on cars, and his father was a mechanic. And my great-grandfather was a blacksmith. My name is Eric Henley, and I'm an automotive technician. And I got my start at Northeast State Community College. A two-year degree from Northeast State gave me the opportunity to own my own business and to support my family, which is what's most important. One thing I learned as a student at Northeast is that when you work hard enough, there's no limit to what you can achieve.
Based on Dale Wasserman's adaptation of the Ken Kesey novel, the play comes to life through complex and interesting characters. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest emphasizes the struggle of rebels and outsiders against conventional society and the extreme measures taken to silence nonconformity. Ash Sparks, Forrest Parker, and Charles Clark, welcome to Direction Northeast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for starters, who is your character and tell me a little bit about them?
Well, I play Billy Bibbit. The character itself, he is in the institution for I guess you could say a stuttering problem and a fixation towards his mother. She is very protective over him, and it drove him crazy growing up with her. So he would try to cut himself to end his life. So he is self-admitted into the institution, so he does not cause any further harm to himself, even though he still gets away with it every now and then. But the show itself is really, really good, and I'm so excited to put this on here with this set and the cast, and everybody's just molding together so great. It's a very good experience.
Now what about you, Forrest? Who's your character, and tell us a little bit about them.
I play Randall McMurphy. McMurphy just got out of a work farm. He's been in prison for some rough character deeds he's done before, so he's trying to get out of the work farm and trying to set up with these guys in the mental institution. He thinks that'll be a free ride. He ends up noticing that Nurse Ratched and him don't meet eye to eye, so that starts maybe you could say the main conflict of the show. But he's a trip, McMurphy is. He's a real character. He's just eccentric. He's all over the place all the time, pretty hyper. And I'm happy to land a role like this. This is my first production, so I'm excited to be working with a dynamite cast like the guys I work with and everybody else. It's a good deal for sure.
Well, congratulations on your first show.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Now what about you, Charles? Who is your character, and tell us a little bit about them.
I played Dale Harding. He's self-committed as well into the institution. He's taking refuge from society, kind of like an outcast, protects himself by putting himself here. He's commanding, sarcastic, pretentious. He's president of the Patients Council. He likes to have a little bit of control. But he too has some problems that get worked out throughout the show, which is pretty fun to see play out.
Now, Ash, what is your favorite thing about playing your particular character?
My favorite thing for the character would have to be just getting to hang out with the ensemble cast, because we are constantly on stage doing something all the time. Even if the focus is on the opposite side of the stage, we are still in character, having fun, playing cards over here. Just that would easily be the favorite thing about this show. Just because you're constantly in character, constantly moving. There's so many creative choices you can make throughout the show that may not even affect the show, but it affects your character on a deeper level, and it allows you to delve into the show a lot more, especially for the audience, whenever they see you reacting and you're not even doing anything important over there, just playing cards,
Now, Forrest, what would you say is the feel of this play from an overall standpoint? As a person watching it, what's the overall feeling that they're going to get?
I hope they really get the feeling that they're in a mental institution. You know what I mean? This is definitely a madhouse when we're running around through our auditions and, or excuse me, not auditions, but when we're running through our rehearsals, it's definitely just over here and then over there and then back over here, and we're all on stage, like Ash was saying. So it's definitely attention drawn everywhere, but focused to a certain person. So I hope they really understand what it's like to be in a madhouse. By the time we get through it, everybody's just at each other the whole time. So it's going to show them, I think, what it looks like to be in an insane asylum.
Now, because it does take place in an insane asylum, would you say that the whole play is very serious, or are there some comedic reliefs throughout that play?
I think there's lots of different emotions in the play, honestly. I think the character that I play, McMurphy himself, is more of a comedic character. He likes to get everybody worked up in the cast. He likes to make sure all eyes are on him. He enjoys the attention, but he has a strong bonding moment with some of the characters in the play too, so there's definitely some mood and tactic changes throughout the play. So I don't think I could generalize it with just one, emotion around the whole thing, but it's just going to be a good show for sure. It's just a lot of ups and downs. It'll keep people on their seat.
Now, Charles, what is one of your favorite things about your character?
Probably his relationship with, like, religion, most likely. He prays sometimes, and towards the end of the play, he has a little bit where he marries two other characters, and it's a pretty fun show to do. Like he's the, I guess, priest during that. That's fun.
Now, Ash, what would be your biggest struggle for this particular play with your character?
I would have to say the stuttering, just getting that into like a audible and usable dialogue for me, because I don't have a stutter. It's just a little bit of a twist, I would say, to the character. It's been a struggle learning when it's appropriate to stutter and when it's not, and just looking up the research on it, people who have stutters and who are instituted for a stutter issue, and people who can relate to Billy. I did some research on that, and still going, because there's a lot of crazy people in the world,
So do you have to develop that and kind of practice in your mirror? How do you go about learning how to stutter on a play?
Well, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I actually practice in the car a lot. Just when I'm driving, I just stutter while I sing, or just go over lines, just trying to figure out where to put the stutter in the sentence, I guess.
Now, what about you? What's one of the biggest struggles that you've had to face with your particular character?
I'd say maintaining a high energy level. McMurphy's a very animated character. Sometimes as rehearsals drag through, you get to a scene that settles down. McMurphy don't ever settle down. He's always just super animated. He's like Yosemite Sam plus Bugs Bunny, maybe plus the Tasmanian Devil. He's just every cartoon character you can imagine, just at the same time. So it's really difficult to keep that kind of energy level the whole time. You can nail one or two scenes. You want to make sure you give that same kind of commitment to every scene. That way it just helps other people build off what you're doing at the same time, building your character up as well.
Now, Ash, what do you think, as far as attendees are concerned, what can they take away? What's the moral of this play?
More of the story, I guess, would be you never really know who's crazy, But the show, it is so just creative in its own, and especially with the space that we have half built. It's going to be a ride for sure. Everybody coming can easily expect to be entertained and a little bit of a tearjerker, I guess, at times. Expect anything, really. It's going to be a very, very good show.
Now, Forrest, is this being your first play that you've actually done here? What inspired you to audition to it to start with?
I'm a theater major here at the school, and I've always been in community theater. And I graduated my high school a few years ago and hadn't been in any kind of other productions except smaller roles in my community theater. So I was just really excited to get my hands dirty again and get back into it. That's really what I wanted to try to do, and I didn't find a dirtier character, I guess, than McMurphy. I didn't really maybe know what I was auditioning for. I hadn't heard of the novel or saw the movie before I auditioned, so it was just it's taken me on a ride so far. Like, I've been excited to have this kind of character, but it's a lot of pressure for sure. I feel like it is my first play, like I was saying, so there's a lot of people that might be looking to me. Man, I don't want to slip up for sure. I don't want to be the guy that causes roadblocks. So I want to be on top of my A game. I want to make sure everybody's just as happy that I have this role as I am.
Oh, definitely. I think you'll do fine.
Thank you.
Now, Charles, what do you think makes this particular play different from other ones that have gone on at Northeast State in the past?
No, that's kind of a hard question. Let's see. This is stronger, I guess. Well, a lot of the plays, like last semester we did Steel Magnolias, and that was an emotional, strong cast and design and play. And this semester, I guess it's a large ensemble piece. We have a lot of different characters. I think 16 people altogether that are in the show. We have a huge set. And, you know, there's cursing and there's violence. There's a basketball game. So there's a lot of movement and activity in this. I think what makes it different than the other plays is that action and involvement, the audience being able to see all that happening in such a big space.
Now, Ash, how do y'all handle all of that action on stage where you're constantly moving? Does that ever like trip you up as far as your...
Oh, it's going to be different every night. I can already tell you right now. There's one scene where we have to play basketball, for crying out loud, so got to help a ball rolls off stage, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But it's very, very crazy, hectic. The shows, they're not going to be the same. Like, one show is not going to be the same to the next. It's going to be just bouncing off the walls like an insane asylum, like we want it.
Well, there
So.
you go. You wanted chaos? There you go.
There we go.
Now, how would you describe this particular play in 1 or 2 words? Just like an adjective for it.
Erotic, maybe?
Why would you choose that word?
Just maybe the insane asylum, like he just spoke of. You know, this place is just, it's a madhouse as it's described in the play. Like, it's something that you almost get to the point of something a few times in the play, and then you're just dropped off, everything's changed. It just stops and picks up and goes and picks up and goes and keeps moving. I just feel like this play is going to be something that people will remember for a long time as well. So I'm excited.
Now, Charles, how does your character play well with all the other characters, or is it kind of like each character is bouncing off of each other? How does those characters kind of...
Oh, they all have their moments of interaction. And I guess for Dale Harding, he's kind of closed to him. Like, he interacts, but he's also, I feel like he thinks he's on a higher tier. He's president of the Patients Council. He's probably not an insane person. He's self-committed. So interacting with these other patients, I feel like he takes on a responsibility role and tries to like help the nurses and wards usher and educate these patients until McMurphy shows up. When McMurphy shows up, there's almost like a battle instantly. And from that moment on, the entire show is just like an evolution. All the patients evolve, all the wards evolve, even the deaf and dumb Indian guy, Chief Bromden, is like evolved into a different person by the end of the play. And that's because of like the way McMurphy pushes all of us to, I guess, unionize and rely on each other and I guess accept a society that can accept us, which is nice.
Now, Ash, as far as how the characters kind of blend together, as he was talking about, what do you think pushes them to, or who pushes them to kind of rebel against these things that they've been pushed
Totally McMurphy. McMurphy comes in, and the second he comes in, he just makes a huge wave, a ruckus in the asylum, and he challenges the big nurse. Yeah, anything that moves, really, he just challenges it, and he likes to be top dog in the place. And McMurphy, he is the top dog in the place. So, you got it. You're fine. You are.
Now, as far as how the play is kind of coming together, and y'all are actually getting ready to open your first show, what's your overall feel about how everything's going?
I think this is a really smart group. This is one of the smartest groups of people I've got to work with, so I enjoy it a whole bunch. I think we just got it. We're on top of it.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining us today on Direction Northeast.
Yep.
And we'll be right back to talk with some of the production designers after this.
Our family gets together nearly every weekend. We laugh together, we enjoy each other, We have quality time together, and Northeast State has afforded us those opportunities. I'm a graduate of Northeast State, and my husband's a graduate of Northeast State, and both of our children chose to go to Northeast State. And I think it's because it provided us with an affordable, quality education, and it was a wonderful experience. I'm Susan Graybill, and our whole family got our start at Northeast State.
So Russ, what kind of goes into making a set to start with? Do you read the script and then go from there, or is there kind of a based on design that you build off of?
Oh no, there's a process that we go through. It usually starts with reading the script. Then the second step is to read the script again. And then we start looking for, the third time you read it, you start looking for things from a set designer point of view, such as a general feeling of the play. And what I got when I read it was a struggle between the two extremes of fascism versus anarchy, and how we need to sort of be somewhere in the middle of that, because we need certain rules in life, but we also need freedom, and where's that balance? And that's sort of the overall concept I've got of the show, and I tried to reflect that in my design.
So as far as that's concerned, how has that affected the way that this set is sort of set up right now? I can't see the final product, but as far as
it's true, it is in progress. One of the things we did was the size of the set. We wanted the characters to appear diminished and smaller, and one way of doing that was to make a giant set. And so most of the action actually only takes place on about the lower third of the set. The rest is just sort of for design purposes. And another sort of layout of the stage is we have this side, which is the nurses, Nurse Ratchet's world, which is very rigid and imposing. And then the other side of the set is going to be giant open windows, which is to represent freedom. And throughout the play, there's certain references to that. And a few players in the end actually, or characters in the end actually do get freedom in their own way. So the set is just sort of here to reinforce those concepts.
So what is one of the biggest challenges that you face designing and getting this set started? One
of the things that I wanted to do was to give the actors as much room as possible, but with the audience still being able to see everything. We have sightline that they have to keep everything in. And I think with this set, I think we are right on the sightline. So this is as much open stage as you can really have. So I like to push that as much as possible. And one of the things here is it's going to be the nurses' station, which is sort of the center of power, and it sort of dominates the whole stage and looms over everything. And that's sort of represented by how the nurses sort of loom over and oppress the characters.
Now, is there actually going to be someone all the way at the top of that during the play, or is it just sort of aesthetically?
It's aesthetically that big. There will be someone in this area, so they will be, quite high, looming over whoever's below them. But yeah, and the rest is just sort of give that imposing feel of a large structure.
So how is this set different from ones that maybe you've designed in the past?
This is the first unit set I've designed in a while, and what a unit set is it's one set. It doesn't change throughout the play, and that's sort of difficult because you have to make the whole play happen in one area, and it has to be functional for all of that. So that's a little different, and also the size. This is probably the biggest set I've built or designed. So that's been a real challenge, and we're sure we're going to get it done in time for the show. So come out and see. No, come out and see the biggest set I've ever designed.
Now, does this set change at all? As normally plays, you'll have some things will move, or is this where the whole play takes place?
This is where the whole play takes place. There is some changing of tables and chairs, because this is the day room for the patients in the hospital, and it's sort of a multi-purpose room. They have meetings here and just sort of hang out during the day. There is a separate world of the play that takes place in one of the characters' minds and imaginations that the set also lends itself to, because it will be so large. There's room for projections and different lighting effects, which I'll let our lighting designer tell you more about that. But other than that, it all takes place in this one world, except for the few scenes that take place inside of one of the characters' minds.
So as far as what has gone into creating this set, are you the only person that's working on it, or are there other people involved?
I'm the designer, but there's been a lot of help, especially from the design teacher here. He's been very helpful in sort of reining it in, because I tend to, when I heard Giant said it was, at one time it was going to be like 20 some feet high, and he said maybe not that high for practical reasons of lighting and things. And that's been a big help as far as just sort of reining me in, because once they turn me loose, I tend to go wild. So it was nice to have somebody sort of focus that. And I've learned a lot through that too. I'll know next time what not to do as far as building giant monstrosities on stage.
Oh, absolutely. But so as far as creating this set, what has been your favorite part about it?
Even though that's not really the designer's job, it's been the building it. I've got to help come in and build it, and I prefer actually watching it come to life. It was fun on paper, and the little model that we made was nice, but once I see it come to life, I love that. I think it's great to see.
Thank you, Russ. And now we're going to go speak with the lighting designer, Hannah Duncan. Hi, Hannah. Welcome to Direction Northeast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So as the lighting designer, what's some of the prep work that you have to go into to getting all this set up?
Well, first you have to look at what you're trying to recreate and the space that you're trying to recreate. So for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, it's an insane asylum. So we thought, what does an insane asylum or a hospital look like? Fluorescence. So it's been our goal to try and recreate fluorescence. You have to look at the space that you want to recreate, try and figure out how you're going to do it, and then choose your colors and go from there.
So what's been one of your biggest challenges for creating the lighting for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Probably trying to recreate the fluorescence without actual fluorescent lights, because it was impractical for us to bring a bunch of fluorescent lights in and hang them. So it's been really interesting to try and find a colored gel that recreates what fluorescent light looks like to us in every day.
So for those of us who don't necessarily understand how all of that works,
right.
How would you explain that process of trying to create an artistic lighting for a play like this?
So when you light something, you have there's four main purposes of lighting. You want visibility, you want distribution, you want to see the movement, and you want to see the color. But visibility is obviously the most important. So I guess the process that we have to go through, and you think, what can we do to make sure that our actors are visible? What can we do to recreate the space that they're in, or that we want the audience to feel like they're in? And then, what colors suit the actor's skin tones best? What colors won't clash with your costumes? What colors will enhance things versus take away? So, for instance, the fluorescence, we tried to find a gel which we could put over a light such as this that would have a kind of greenish yellowish wash to it, which is something that fluorescence has naturally.
So what has been your favorite part of being able to be the set designer for this play?
I guess getting to do lights has been really interesting for the show, because for the majority of the time it's just fluorescence, but then you have a couple of these special moments where Chief Bromden gets to step forward, and for the first time you actually get to hear him speak. And it was my job to recreate what it looks like inside his head. So I got to come up with some crazy colors and some really fun patterns and a bunch of different movement. And that's been, it's been really great for me as a first-time designer to try and bring some creativity to something that otherwise is pretty bleak.
So is that the only time in the play where things kind of go from that outside of that fluorescent?
Right, yeah, it is. We wanted to keep the color in the show really, really isolated. Color to my specific design means freedom of self and freedom of thought. So I wanted to use color only in the Bromden's monologues, only in the moments where you get to see inside of his head and where you're taken away from the world of the institution. So anything that's in the institution is bleak and fluorescent, but anything that comes outside of it is colorful and full of life and really vibrant.
Well, thank you so much, Hannah Duncan, for joining us today on Direction Northeast.
Thanks for having me.
And now we're going to go speak with costume designer Jessica Richardson. Hi Jessica, welcome to Direction Northeast. So for starters, what is the overall feel of the style of costumes in this show?
We went with a very anemic feel and very put together and very safe too. There's a lot of things I had to take into consideration with them being in a mental institution. A lot of the designs are based off late 1950s, early 1960s feel, especially for like the women that come in and the patients that are there. So.
What's some of the prep work that you've had to go through to understand how these costumes need to look on stage?
A lot of research, a lot of looking into what was very popular during the 1950s, especially for an insane asylum and for patients. A lot of things I had to take into consideration too, for the fact that they are in a mental institution. I had to watch for like robes and like shoestrings and stuff like that for safety reasons. So the fact that we want to keep it very realistic, a lot of research had to be done.
How do the styles differ between each costume as far as, you are in an insane asylum, so you don't want it to be like creepy or anything like that, so how do you manage that?
Overall, for the patients, it's pretty much the same. They have one basic costume that they wear throughout the show. Just there's tiny little changes besides McMurphy. He has a costume that he comes in with from the outside, and he changes a little bit, but overall it's the same. We chose color palettes, so the inside of it is very like dull and very anemic. Anything that comes from the outside to the inside is very bright and colorful. Candy Star and Sandra, for example, their costumes are very colorful compared to the patients.
What has been the overall biggest struggle for designing these costumes?
For the patients, they all have to be uniform, they all have to be the same. So going with the color palette and the fact that I have to take care of like safety regulations for, you know, being inside an insane asylum, it was a little difficult, but it was fun.
What do you think the overall feel to the audience the costumes are going to portray?
Well, Nurse Ratchet's very controlling, and so everything's very clean and very straight and very formal, and it's very anemic and kind of dull to an extent. So with that and the set and our wonderful actors, it's going to give off this very creepy, you know, headstrong feeling, and I'm excited.
So what has been maybe your favorite part of getting to design the costumes for this sort of strange but very serious play?
Just getting to mainly watch it all come together. It was really fun getting to present these to our cast once I got to realize who was playing what role. But getting to see it all come together, I'm really excited. The nurses, getting to see their reaction to the costumes that they get to wear, very, very white, very formal, but it's pretty fun.
Now, are you the only person in charge of designing these costumes, or do you have other people in here helping you?
I'm the only designer for the costumes, but I've had a little bit of help from different people, past costume designers, and just people that are wanting to get into this kind of thing and just been helping me out. It's been nice.
Is this what you want to do with your theater career?
Yes. This is the second show that I've designed for. I designed for Still Magnolia last semester, and then this is the first show that I've designed for by myself. So hopefully pursuing it a little further.
Well, thanks so much, Jessica, and we'll be right back to wrap up Direction Northeast.
Going to college was a big decision, but when I graduate from Northeast State, I know I can have a career.
Over half of our employees are graduates of Northeast State Community College.
When we see Northeast State on an application, we always give that candidate a second look.
Our company partners with Northeast State, knowing that their students graduate as trained professionals that become our employees both today and into the future.
Discover the career opportunities that await you. Northeast State Community College.
The Northeast State production of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest will open April 7th at 7:30 p.m. at the Blountville campus. Shows will continue through April 17th. Now, on behalf of the students, staff, and faculty of Northeast State Community College, I'm Abby Hathorn, and this is Direction Northeast.